Hi everyone, welcome to Zero Carbon Conference 2023. Thank you for being here today from all over the world. I'm Tomoko Fujiwara from Japan. I'm working at Environmental Policy Division, Nakano Prefecture Government Office. I am the MC for today. We have simultaneous interpretation. So in your webinar control, click interpretation, then click the language that you would like to hear. So first, let me explain the background of this conference. Nagano Prefecture Government, Kaledia University of Applied Science, the University of Eastern Finland, and ENOSchoolNet Association organized this Zero Carbon Conference based on Memorandum of Understanding with cooperation in the field of regional development, education, and research in forestry, renewable energy between Nagano Prefecture and Regional Council of North Karelia of Finland. We have 2 days, and each day has a theme. Day 1 today focuses on mitigation, which is achieved either by reducing the sources of greenhouse gases or by enhancing the storage of these gases. We especially talk about how to utilize local resources and make our lifestyle sustainable. Day 2 focuses on adaptation, which is possible by taking action to prevent or minimize the damage effects of climate change can cause, or taking advantage of opportunities that may arise. So we talk about in terms of sustainable local businesses. Each day, there are keynote speech presentations from companies, organizations, and students. At the end of each day, we will summarize the presentations. The discussion will be in an online platform during the conference days. I will explain about it later. Before we start sessions, we have some opening speeches. First, we have opening remarks from Ambassador Tanja Jääskeläinen, Embassy of Finland in Tokyo.
Students and participants of the Zero Carbon Conference, it is my great pleasure to open and address this 2-day Zero Carbon Conference, which is now arranged for the second time. My name is Tanja Jääskeläinen. I'm the Ambassador of Finland to Japan. Climate change and questions related to environment are, in my opinion, among the most important areas for international cooperation. These questions concern all of us, no matter where we live. It is important to actively look for new ways to work together to solve the pressing global issue of climate change. This conference is an excellent example of much needed collaboration, and I'm really pleased that Finnish and Japanese stakeholders are gathered around this topic. This year, the conference has 2 themes: mitigation and adaptation, 2 ways to tackle the changes in climate environment. Both perspectives are really critical. It is of utmost importance to seek carbon-neutral solutions to mitigate the harmful effects on climate. We also need to adapt and come up with clever new ways to ensure a more sustainable future. Climate change needs to be addressed on all levels of society: governments, industries, education, research and science, as well as among civil society and individuals. Everyone's input is needed. Questions to be addressed are diverse, from finding more innovative and sustainable ways to produce items, farming for food, but also related to consuming, traveling, and living our everyday lives. In this conference, you will talk about many different ways to mitigate climate change and adapt to it. Zero carbon solutions are needed everywhere, and there are many interesting initiatives and technological innovations already. Finland, for example, is one of the leaders globally in creating bio-based alternative solutions to tackle overuse of plastic and production of textile waste. Many other innovations are being developed around the world. What makes me particularly happy is to see you students talk about these topics in this conference and participate as audience. Young people are the ones whose lives are likely to be affected by the very concrete effects of climate change. Your thoughts, clever ideas, and innovations are a very central part of the solution. You are the agents and advocates of change. The current decision makers and leaders around the world have the responsibility to act in a way that ensures a livable planet for the future generations, and they should listen to your messages. Dear students, I hope this conference gives you inspiration to participate in global discussions and voice your thoughts. They matter, and you all have an important role to play. Finally, I would like to thank the organizers of the conference for giving me the opportunity to be part of all this. I hope you best of success in your valuable work and hope you enjoy the interesting program of Zero Carbon Conference 2023. Thank you. Kiitos and arigatou gozaimashita.
Ambassador, thank you so much for your warm message. I hope this conference is an opportunity to build a great relationship between Finland and Japan. Now we have another opening remarks from Mr. Takashi Masaki, Director of Environmental Department at Nagano Prefecture Government, on behalf of organizers. Could you turn on your camera and mic, please? Yes.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Takashi Masaki, and the Associate Director General of the Environment Department from Nagano Prefecture Government. I will make some brief remarks on behalf of the organizers. First off, I appreciate all the efforts of North Korea and the conference staff in holding the Zero Carbon Conference. It is thanks to them that participants can attend from all around the globe. Nagano Prefecture was the host of the 1998 Winter Olympics and Paralympic Games and is known for this legacy. Nagano is a major forest prefecture in Japan and is covered by 80% of forest land. We cherish the blessings of nature in our everyday lives. However, in October 2019, Super Typhoon Hagibis tore through Nagano, causing huge damage. In December of that year, we became the first prefecture in Japan to declare a climate emergency. At that time, we also announced our resolution to go zero carbon by 2050. The issue of climate change stretches across regions and generations. It is the responsibility of our generation and the countries that have contributed significantly to greenhouse gases to take immediate action to stop the climate crisis for the future generation. Nagano Prefecture launched the Sustainable Nagano Growth Creation Platforms in September 2022. This is a place to learn, connect, and co-create beyond fields, generations, and regions. We have started our new efforts to mobilize wisdom from around the world and confront climate change. Nagano Prefecture focuses on the development of the next generation. Last December, we conducted a program to send high school students to environmentally advanced countries, the Netherlands and Switzerland. With the knowledge that they acquired, the students are about to act toward climate change in their communities and schools. The Zero Carbon Conference is an opportunity for sharing issues and activities beyond countries, regions, and generations. This is utterly one of the ideal platforms Nagano Prefecture hopes to create. Mutual understanding and connections will create a bigger impact than you can accomplish on your own. Both presenters and participants are part of the team to fight against this global issue. Let's work together towards what we can do in our communities first and change the world so that we can create a brighter future for the next generation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director. There is another special surprise message from Japanese actor Ken Watanabe. He currently lives in Karuizawa, Nagano, and he is interested in sustainability. So he sent us a message for this conference.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ken Watanabe. Unless we act now to prevent global warming for our generation and for your children's generation, it will be too late. Think about what we can do and what society can do, and take the lead in bringing the issue to people's attention. I hope that this conference will lead to great change. Let's keep moving forward.
Thank you so much for cheering up. Okay, so now I would like to explain the tool we are going to use today. Let me show you my screen. Okay, so during the presentation, all participants can post your questions and comments through this Padlet, which is an online board we can use simultaneously from around the world. You will be receiving this link in the Zoom chat box and on YouTube. You will have different Padlet for each day, and the links will be announced at the beginning of each day and also during the session. So let me show you how we are going to use this Padlet. So as you can see, each speaker has their own section here. And so if you have any questions or comments, you can write down here. But before you do that, we would like you to log in from the top right corner. You can log in either with Google, Microsoft, or Apple account. So you can also post comments without login if you want to be anonymous. Once you are here, questions and comments are for any speakers. You can just add comments here and press enter. It will show there. So you can edit and delete your comments, but you cannot edit and delete other people's comments. I would like to remind you basic ways of how to interact on the internet. So be polite, be constructive, don't be insulting. You can use this also after the session, and it's open all through the day. So speakers will come back at some point and reply directly in this Padlet. Okay, so let's get started. Today's keynote speaker is Ms. Tomoko Kusamoto, Director of Hakuba International School Foundation.
Hello.
Hi, Tomoko.
Hello, Tomoko.
Okay. Hi, that's my name. Thank you so much for coming to this conference. We're honored to have you here today.
I'm very honored to be here. I'm a bit
Thank
nervous,
you.
but very excited. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And before her speech, let me introduce her profile. So after graduating from University of Tokyo with a BA in economics, she started her career at U.S. investment banks. She gained her MBA from UC Berkeley and worked for Goldman Sachs in the private equity division. She left the finance industry when she had her first child and is now a mother of 3. Inspired by natural beauty, she and her husband moved to Hakuba in 2009 to raise their family. Through her experience in revitalizing a local public school, Hakuba High School, she saw a great opportunity in offering a world-class education in Hakuba and opened Hakuba International School in 2022. She is a co-founder of Hakuba SDGs Lab too. So I'm thrilled to hear your talk. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I'm really honored to be here, and I'm super excited because I know that there are so many students from different parts of the world participating, and I think I really see that you are the one who can make a change, and I will do my best to recoup my mistakes, but I really am thrilled to work with all the younger generations in the world, and thank you so much for the opportunity. Today, I am hoping to share some of my story, that why I decided to do what I do, and I hope it might give you some inspirations to the participants today. So let me share my screen. Let's see. Can you see the screen? And 1 second. Oops, sorry. Let me just go to the slideshow. Okay, so first of all, let me just introduce my little village called Hakuba. So we are at the north end of Nagano Prefecture, and Nagano Prefecture is pretty much in the center of Japan, and we have a population about 9,000 people in Hakuba village. Our main industries are agriculture and tourism, and it takes about 2.5 to 3.5 hours from Tokyo, depending on what kind of transport you use. And we are known for beautiful, distinct 4 seasons. And we were also known for what we call Japao, Japanese powder snow. And we are very proud of that. Just a little bit about myself, but I think the other Tomoko-san did a great job introducing my background. So just briefly, I worked in finance before I came to Hakuba, but we moved to Hakuba in 2009 to raise our family because I really wanted our children to grow up in the nature. And we have been so happy being here, and I have nothing but gratitude to Hakuba for being such a wonderful hometown for our 3 children. And since we started living in Hakuba, I started to notice things that I didn't notice when I was in the big cities like Tokyo or New York or Hong Kong. Because we are so close to nature, I started to realize when I first moved here in 2009, cherry blossom season was more like in May. And then now I notice that most of the cherry blossoms seasons is over before the end of April. And also in summer, it used to be nice and cool in Hakuba, so we didn't really need air conditioner. I remember debating with my husband when we were building a house in 2010 whether or not we should install the air conditioner or not. But I'm really glad that we did, because now there are a few weeks of the year where like it would be very hard to stay in the house if we didn't put on the air conditioner. And things like, this is a photo of my backyard, and you see the Japanese monkey. They were never around here before. They were seen maybe in the southern end of the Hakuba Valley, but not around here. But I see them all the time now. All those little changes started to make me realize that the climate change is real, and it's actually a real threat to humanity. This is another photo from February 20, I think it was 2020. And February is supposed to be the time where like we should have the largest amount of snow. But as you can see at in the valley, it's brown and there's no snow. And that was really shocking to me that this was happening. I really love those beautiful 4 seasons of Hakuba, and just like every other resident in Hakuba, I really like our children and our grandchildren and all the future generations to be able to enjoy the nature just like we did. So I started thinking about what I could possibly do to help stop this climate change. And I got together with a person called Kota Watanabe, and he works for Hakuba Village Office. And we talked about maybe creating some community group where we can discuss about the climate change and or more broadly about sustainability and try and make Hakuba Village more sustainable place. And so we formed the group called Hakuba SDGs Lab, and our first kickoff meeting was held in June 2019. And there are about 60 people who came. And among those 60 people, and we had our speaker, Ian Shimizu, who is an amazing environmental activist. And he talked about the importance of SDGs and the current state of climate change. And among those 60 people who came, we had those 3 high school students. And I know they presented at the last year's conference, this Zero Carbon conference, and I was really, really proud. And they came, and when they first came to our meeting, they had not much of an idea about climate change or, you know, what SDGs were all about. But they got very interested and started researching and started to take actions. The first action they took was back in September 2019. That's when Greta Thunberg was asking all the youth around the world to do the climate march or climate strike. And so they tried to do it in Hakuba, and they did. As you can see, we got together in front of the Hakuba station, and we marched around the town, and then we went to the village office, and they submitted the petition to the mayor asking him to declare a climate emergency. And at the time, there was no other municipalities in Japan that declared climate emergency. And at the end of this march, we had about 200 people together. And for a village of 9,000 people, 200 are a lot of people. And then they studied more, and those 3 students came up and learned about the climate refugees, that there are some people like in a tropical island who didn't really emit that much of a CO2, but because of the CO2 that we emit that in order to maintain our lifestyle, they've been sort of kicked out of their own homeland, and they had to find somewhere else to live because the sea level is rising and their island was disappearing. And they were very, very worried about that. And they wanted other people to know more about those climate refugees issue. So they hosted a charity bazaar to raise money for the climate refugees. And in that way, they thought that they could bring in people from in their generation as well, and they did. And they raised about $2,000, and we took it to the United Nations so that they can donate it to the climate refugees. And at the same time, they submit the petition again to declare climate emergency to the mayor of Hakuba village. At the time, it was Mr. Shimokawa, and the village did declare climate emergency in December 2019. And then they moved on in February 2020 to do the climate march on the snow because they love skiing and snowboarding. And then they were very concerned that we are not getting enough snow and we may not be able to ski in the future years anymore. So they held this amazing climate march and at the Iwatake Ski Resort. And Iwatake Ski Resort CEO decided to run the lifts just on the renewable energy on those weekends that they were doing the march. And then back to the same photo that I showed you earlier, and this was the year that we had the record low snowfall, and that was just the right timing for them to do the march. And I think it really touched a lot of people's heart. And then they learned that in a place like Nagano Prefecture, insulation is the major key to mitigate climate change because it gets really cold in Nagano in general. And if you insulate the buildings properly, you can really reduce the amount of energy that you use. So that was probably one of the most important things you could do to make a change. And unfortunately, many of the buildings or houses in Japan in general, I guess, are not well insulated. So they set out to do the insulation project themselves for their classroom, and they did, and it made a major difference. And their energy cost has gone down quite significantly. And given that evidence, I believe Nagano Prefecture decided to make a policy. And now I believe they have the subsidy for the schools to do the insulation projects. And if I'm not mistaken, I know that there's one primary school in Hakuba which did the insulation project last year. And also, I think there are 6 other high schools or 5 other high schools which are doing this insulation of their own classrooms. And I think it is an amazing thing that those students' initiatives would make an impact in the policy of the Nagano Prefecture. And I know that Mr. Maseki earlier had said that Nagano Prefecture is very serious about tackling this issue. And I'm so glad to see that they are showing that as, on their part as well, taking an action. So those 3 students did so much in my mind for Hakuba because they raised their voice and take an action. I think they really mobilized so many people in the community and the companies and the organizations. And it's a little bit hard to see, but I just wanted to list all those different events that were kind of initiatives for mitigating the climate change and reducing CO2. And those ones in green are the high school students' actions. And thanks to, not just thanks to their action, of course, but also I really do believe that they made a big difference, that a lot of the different communities have been formed and lots of the actions have been taken in this area. And I would like to talk a little bit more in details about those 4 things that I'm more personally involved. One of them is Protect Our Winter Japan, called POW Japan for short. And they are the group of professional skiers and snowboarders who are very keen to protect their winters and snow. And that's a large organization in the United States, and their chapter in Japan is based in this area. And they have been doing so much in terms of educating the ski resorts to help them reduce their CO2 emissions, hosting lots of workshops. And I think they're making a big change here. And another one is the Hakuba Valley Tourism, which is a tourism promotion organization, has formed the SDGs committee, which I am a chairperson. And we have been working really hard to try and share the significance of climate change and help the people in tourism industry take some action. And I will show you some more examples on that. And I'm very proud to say one of the prominent ski resort, many of you might remember or know Hakuba through 1998 Nagano Olympics, and Happo One ski resort was one of the venue for the downhill racing. And their lifts are solely 100% operated by the renewable energy. And that started by those two ladies who cared so much about the environment. And they formed the SDGs marketing group within their company, and they're promoting different initiatives to mitigate the climate change. And also there's this group called Zero Carbon Study Group has been formed, and they have been doing so many different workshops so that people can share their practices. Sometimes we talk about the compost, sometimes we talk about the solar panels in a snowy climate, and it's such a lot of wisdom in the community that we can share when we form a community group like this, and it has been making a lot of impact, I feel. And then my own initiative was to build a school. My conclusion in all this was that education was probably the most important thing that we can do for the future generations. So we established the Hakuba International School. It's an international boarding school. It caters to 7th to 12th grades. And at the moment, we just opened last September. And currently we have 7th and 8th graders. And our key question, the driving question as a school, is what kind of education enables people and planet to flourish? And we are here to answer the question with the students. And we have this 9 acres of forest as a school site. We don't really have a proper school building yet, but we have 2 ski lodges that we use one for boarding house and one for classrooms. And the students are designing their own learning space, and we are hoping to build a zero carbon school building in this forest in the next 2 or 3 years. And we do a lot of project-based learning where the students will go out in the community and do some projects related to sustainability and learn how we can mitigate the climate change and, many other sustainability-related issues. We do a lot of social emotional learning because unless you can take care of your own well-being, it's impossible to look after the planet's well-being. So we do a lot of this kind of advisory sessions. And we focus a lot on outdoor education because we believe that unless you have a personal connection with nature, it's very hard to care about nature. And that's the way that you can really open up to new ideas and new lifestyles, when you really care about the nature and when you're serious about conserving it. And I would like to share this quote from Einstein. And that says, the world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but those who do watch them without doing anything. And I really believe that I was bystander before I moved to Hakuba. I didn't really want to think too much about climate change or global warming because I didn't really want to worry about using too much plastic, and I didn't really want to change my lifestyle. But now that I live in Hakuba and I really see the impact of climate change with my own eyes, I feel it every day. I really feel like whatever small step I can take, I really should be taking for my children and then their children and for all the future generations. And everyone gathered here today, I'm sure, would share that concern. And if I still have time, if it's okay, maybe I would share the video that Hakuba Valley Tourism created to promote sustainability, just so you can see some beautiful sight of our village. Tomoko-san, is it okay if do I have time or should I? Sorry, you're muted.
Hi, yeah, it's okay. You can play the video, yes.
Perfect. Okay, let me just pop it up if I can. Let's see.
僕らが大きくなったとき、きれいな川、走り回れる森は、スキーができる雪山は、どうなっていますか？今、世界
会はサステイナブル・デベロップメント・ゴールズ、持続可能な開発目標を掲げ、地球規模の歴史的な転換期を迎えています。世界的スノーリゾートとして知られる大町、白馬、小谷の3子孫からなる白馬バレーも、雄大な北アルプスが織りなす山岳エコツーリズムの聖地として、全ての人と環境に寄り添える循環型経済へと大きく舵を切っています。自然を生かし、自然とともに成長する、そんな白馬バレーになっていきます。意識を変える必要があるのはわかるけど、実際何から始めたらいいのかわかりません。そんな時は、資源には確実に限りがある。より環境に負荷の少ない選択をしてみるという意識を持ってみてください。たったそれだけで大きな変化が生まれます。捨てていた生ゴミはコンポストで資源に変えられます。自転車で自然を感じながら通勤している人がいます。地産地消で無駄が減って笑顔が増えました。店舗で使うエネルギーに薪ストーブや薪ボイラーを取り入れた宮佐ベーカリーさん。
薪ストーブはまずはやっぱりあったかいですね。あったかさはやっぱり全然多分スキーストーブとか比べても違うと思うんですけど、なかなか利用されない針葉樹なんかも遠くに持っていかれたりとか、そういうものも使えば当然安くでも手に入るし、地域にとってもいいかなと思って今いろんなことに試してやってますけどね。
実際に自然の中で働く方は今の環境の変化をどう感じているのでしょうか。冬はスキー場のパトロール、夏はグリーンパトロールとして活躍する石原さん。
雪は確実に少しずつは減ってると思います。データでもそうだし、自分で感じるものでもやっぱ若い人たちはこの環境問題とかにものすごく前向きだなって感じるし、一緒に取り組んでいかなきゃいけないかなっていうのも感じます。もう誰かが変えてくれって言うときっとダメなんでしょうね。自分たちがやれることから。
この先、環境保護の理念はただの凡庸なスローガンではなく、安全基準や労働環境と同様に企業が当然考慮すべき事案として扱われるようになるでしょう。そしてすでにこの SDGs はやるかやらないかではなく、より良い未来のために今日からできることを見つけ、ポジティブに取り組むという段階まで来ています。ここは胸を張って世界に誇れる山岳エコツーリズムの聖地、白馬バレー。このエリアの当たり前はきっと世界の最先端になれるはずです。100年後もこの笑顔を残すために、観光に携わる私たちだからこそできることがあるはずです。まずは私たちから SDGs アクションを一緒に始めましょう。
Thank you. I guess that concludes my presentation, and I hope we can think and discuss and learn together going forward so that we can build a brighter future. Thank you so much for listening.
Hi, thank you so much for your inspiring presentation and a beautiful video. That's amazing. The various stakeholders are working on climate change in Hakuba Village.
I think we're very lucky that we have so many people who care about this issue. So yeah, thank you very much.
And I'm sure everyone wants to visit Hakuba and your school now. Thank you. So if you have any questions and comments to presenters, you can post on Padlet, as I mentioned, anytime during the conference, and the presenters will answer the questions. So let's move on to expert presentations. So first speaker is Miss Mariko Harada, non-profit organization Manette Kinasa from Nagano, Japan. Hi. Hi, Mariko.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just turn the video off. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for joining today. So, Mariko was born in Tokyo, moved to Nagano City in 2017, while enjoying the nature-rich country life in Kinasa, such as picking mountain vegetables and growing vegetables. She is also active as a staff member of NPO, a non-profit organization, Mamete Kinasa, and Kinasa Tourism Association. Her presentation title is Toward a Community that is Self-Efficient in Food and Energy. So Mariko, you can start your presentations when you are ready. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Tomoko-san. So let me share my PowerPoint. これかな？よいしょ。Okay. Can you see the slide? Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. And hi everyone. My name is Mariko Harada from Mamete Kinasa, and I am honored to be there and to have the opportunity to make this presentation. Thank you. And I hope my presentation will be able to give some ideas to younger generation attending this conference. First of all, let me introduce myself. As Tomoko-san introduced, I was born and raised in Tokyo and moved to Nagano 6 years ago. And why I moved to Nagano is because I wanted to live in an environment where fields and community-based forests are close. I felt in my urban life that it was important to live in a place where the most fundamental and essential things like clean water, air, and soil were close by. I felt that it was important to live within my measures and to produce food to protect myself from climate change, natural disasters, wars, and many other uncertainties. After thinking deeply about the earth and the environment, I came to the very simple idea of living with soil. Then, by chance, I became involved with Kinasa. So, Kinasa is a mountain town located in the north of Nagano Prefecture, just next to Hakuba that Tomoko-san introduced. Okay. Surrounded by mountains and dotted with many houses in the valley, it is known as the city of the valley, like this photo. And the name Kinasa means the village without evil spirit. So how Kinasa came to be called to Kinasa, it takes long time to describe. So please refer to this page or scan this QR code, please. Thank you. Okay. So, about the Kinasa, and the population was approximately 1,200. And like many other mountain areas in Japan, it is characterized by a high population of elderly people aged 65 and over. And Kinasa has more than, the area has more than 90% of the area is mountain forest. And life in this area is very rich in nature, with wild vegetables in spring and nuts and mushrooms in autumn. On the other hand, forestry and hemp cultivation, which were the main industries in the area about 50 years ago, have declined due to the have declined due to the import of foreign timber and the spread of synthetic fibers. And the community-based forest, which called Satoyama, have fallen into disrepair due to lack of human intervention. So now, let's talk about Mamete Kinasa. Okay. Mamete, it means lively or energetic or vibrant in the local dialect here. And Mamete Kinasa is a non-profit organization that aims to create self-reliant community through self-sufficiency in food and energy. The farmland and community-based forests are devastated due to an aging and shrinking population. So in 2010, this NPO was set up by local volunteers with the aim of creating a small but sustainable kinasa. And the main themes are energy, food, and lifestyle. So energy self-sufficiency activities include solar power generation and wood fuel production. The solar power generation started in 2015. It generates 5,000 kilowatt hours power per year and receives an annual income of 2 million Japanese yen, which is approximately 14,000 euro from the sales of electricity. A special feature in this solar power generation is the angle of panels. To prevent snow and accumulating on the panels and interfering with the generation of electricity during the winter, the panels are angled at 45 degrees to keep the snow off. And in summer season, the goats are the main player to cut the grass. And there are several points in Citizen Power solar power station. One is that building with our own hands as much as possible, as it would have required a lot of money to hire an installer, and it was difficult to raise funds. So the volunteers of Mamete Kinasa did what they could do by themselves, such as setting up the frame and installing the panels. And the community will maintain the panels for 20 years, which is said to be the useful life of the panels. Then this allowed us to reduce the size of the project, scale of the operations, and cut the budget significantly. And the last point is that the installation cost of 13 million yen, or about 91,500 euro, was financed by 100% citizen investment instead of borrowing from the bank. The citizen investment was funded by the Ohisama Energy Fund in Iida City, Nagano. This photo was taken at the inauguration ceremony And you can see everyone has a good smile. Okay. And next, another energy initiative is the maintenance and the energy self-sufficiency of community-based forests that are maintained. In 2013, a Kinasa firewood station was built. Then timber cut from the community-based forest is processed into fuelwood. At Kinasa Firewood Station, we are utilizing firewood to create a framework of regional circulation. We turn and maintain the community-based forest trees and thinned wood into firewood to fuel the wood boilers of local hot spring facility or sell to campsite or wood-fired bakery shops and wood stove users. It also creates employment for local people to make firewood. This is a wood-fired boiler at the local hot spring facility, Kinasa no Hotel and Cottage. Since 2017, Kinasa Firewood Station provides the firewood here. Approximately 130 cubic meters of firewood is used annually. It means approximately 40,000 liters of kerosene oil have been reduced compared to 70,000 liters used before. Okay. And the camping boom in Japan has also helped us to increase the demand for firewood at campsite. But it takes a lot of time and effort to prepare for distribution. So it is a little bit problem now. And also other sales are to pizzeria, bakery, and stove and individual stove users. Okay. Next, we introduce activities about the food. We invite urban owners to grow rice and sake rice. One is a Tambo Club. Tambo Club invite members from urban areas to grow rice on unused farmland. This allows urban residents to experience farming, protect farmland in Kinasa, and helps to ensure food security too. Another is Sakamai Club. This also uses unused farmland to grow rice, which is used to make Japanese sake. While the Tambo Club attracts people who want to experience farming and eat the rice they grow. The Sakamai Club attracts people who like to drink sake. We want to preserve the culture of sake rice production in Kinasa too. Okay. And in addition, I would like to briefly introduce some other activities to convey the richness of life in Kinasa. One is the restoration of old house, which started last year. We are working on the restoration and renovation of the building in the form of workshops. When we complete it, it will serve as a base for people to experience the life of Kinasa. This is a Satoyama kitchen, experience life with fire. A wood-fired oven and pizza oven have been installed on the edge of this used junior high school playground, allowing people to experience life with fire. And also, the Onimoritai is a group of volunteers to maintain community-based forest. We provide everything from basic chainsaw training to practical training, and is gradually increasing the number of supporters who maintain the Kinasa's community-based forest, Satoyama. We are living off natural resources such as oil, gas, and minerals created by the earth for billions of years. This has resulted in climate change. Of course, there are more complex factors involved, but at Mamete Kinasa, we are not to say it loud about environment issues or fighting climate change, but we are working to inherit the beautiful Kinasa landscape, lifestyle, and culture that we love so much. And in order to pass Kinasa, which is blessed with rich nature, to the next generation, we aim to reduce the burden on the environment, enjoy the comforts of mountain life, and make Kinasa a vibrant place, Mamete place, for both people and community. As a result, this will create a regional cycle and become a mitigation and adaptation measure against climate change, I believe. Thank you so much. That's all my presentation. Thank you. Tomoko-san.
Hi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mariko-san.
はい、ありがとうございます。
Thank you so much for your presentation.
Should I?
That is a great. Now you can stop your screen sharing, and that is a great example to show sustainable lifestyle in Kinasa and utilizing local wood and other resources. It looks very fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So next speaker is Anna Fabiola, head of the degree program in Smart and Sustainable Design at Heme University of Applied Science from Finland. Anna is a design and sustainability expert and educator. She has over 15 years experience from the international fashion and design industry, working with both global industry leading companies and sustainability for runners. The title is Sustainable Fashion, the New Normal.
Hello, my name is Anna Fabiola. I come from Heme University of Applied Sciences, and I'm going to talk about sustainable fashion today. First, I would like to introduce myself. So my background is in fashion. I worked for many years as a fashion designer in the international fashion industry and seen everything from the industry leaders to the sustainability pioneers. And I currently work as a head of degree program in Smart and Sustainable Design in Hame University of Applied Sciences. And our students can study fashion, footwear design, glass and ceramics design during the 4-year degree program in Bachelor of Cultural Arts. And I'm a firm believer that design can drive the change for a better future. So now let's dig deeper into the topic of sustainable fashion. Sustainability is often approached with the 3 pillars of sustainability: planet, people, and profit. And within the sustainable fashion framework, the environmental element, the social element, and the economic element are present as well. But in addition to these, within the fashion framework, also we need to see the cultural sustainability element and the aesthetic sustainability element. Within the sustainable fashion framework, the element of environmental, the planet, means a cleaner production, less waste, and less impact on the nature. The people dimension includes the social responsibility, working conditions, human rights questions, but also questions about the product safety and satisfaction. The profit element includes the new business models that are more circular and require less manufacturing, so producing less impact. The cultural element in the sustainable fashion dimensions includes the cultural systems and value systems, people's behaviors towards, for example, consumptions and different cultural elements and ideas as well. The aesthetic element includes the design attributes of the product, for example, timelessness, durability, and continuous attraction to an object. So why does sustainable design matter? It's estimated that over 80% of all product-related environmental impacts are determined during the design phase of the product. And a traditional view of the fashion industry puts it into 4 different levels where all of these design decisions are affecting. For example, the primary level consists of raw materials. For example, the farms where either animals or plants are grown to produce fibers that make into the fabrics that are used in the manufacturing level. The manufacturing secondary level of fashion industry includes the designers, the wholesalers, and factories who produce the clothing, which is then sold at the retail level, which is the 3rd level of fashion industry. The auxiliary level, the 4th level, is a bit more abstract. It consists of, for example, media, consultants, PR, I would say influencers nowadays, and other support services that are connected to all of the other levels. And at the end of the pipeline is the consumer. And as you can see, the flow of goods and services and energy goes from the raw materials towards the consumer. And there is really not that much take back, which is required. And the decisions that the designers can make to make the, for example, this pipeline a little bit more sustainable is in material choices, using organic materials, or choosing factories which comply with the labor legislation and human rights, and maybe try to educate the consumers about being mindful of how they purchase fashion. But still, even with a little bit better choices, we still end up a lot of resources being wasted. And to meet the planetary boundaries, we need to shift towards circular economies also in the fashion industry. And how do we make this transition from linear to circular fashion? It's an interesting question. The circular fashion ecosystem has all of the same levels and even some additional ones than the linear fashion system. But the difference is that at the end, all of the value, the resources, the energy is returned to the process. We are closing the loop from linear to circular to keep the value in rotation in the circle. And the design decisions and collaboration is even more important in the circular fashion ecosystem. And what are the actions and approaches designers can take in the circular fashion ecosystem to design out the waste, so to say, designing for lower waste, designing for lower impact materials and processes, so the negative effects are eliminated, designing for longevity, to extend the lifespan of the garments, and also designing for recyclability, designing for the end of life of the products. So we can ensure that they never actually become waste. Next, I'm going to share some examples from fashion industry, from brands and designers who are already taking these approaches and applying them. I've tried to find examples that come from the Nordics, from Finland or Nordic countries, just to show the local aspect of this as well. So what does it mean to design for lower waste? One approach is to use a design and pattern making garment construction technique, which is called the zero-phase fashion, which means that there is no, for example, cutting waste, no side waste of the process when manufacturing the product. This example here is from one of our students, Magdalena, and she made this beautiful dress by creating all the shapes into the product from square fabrics by using a smocking technique. So zero fashion garments are not only squares. There's a lot of interesting and creative techniques to apply this into interesting and wearable fashion. So what approaches have designers taken to design for lower impact materials and processes? And
I'm so sorry that they some trouble with the audience, especially for the Japanese listeners. So let us try to play again. I think next time we'll work. Yeah. Yes.
So what approaches have designers taken to design for lower impact materials and processes? And this is an area that there is a lot of interesting development happening currently. So interesting and really important is that the designers and also maybe consumers should understand different fibers and where they originate and what are their life cycles, and take that into consideration already in the design process. Favor maybe renewable, recyclable, and bio-based materials. Also avoid unnecessary treatments and transportation. So producing locally and based on demand, not producing a lot of garments to warehouses. And an interesting company from Sweden is Studio Heine, who produces the garments they do locally. And it's interesting because the products are customized based on customers' own measurements, and each garment is made on demand. So after a client chooses a product with her own measurements, it's produced for her. So there is no overproduction at all. Globe Hope is one of the sustainability pioneers in the world and also in Finland, and they are known for using already existing materials, so applying no new resources. I think one of their most recognizable products is accessories and bags made from recycled seat belts. Another interesting Finnish example is Pure Waste Textiles, and they manufacture jersey and terry fabrics from 100% recycled materials using very little water and energy. And this is achieved by using pre-consumer textile waste from the surrounding factories. They produce in India from the surrounding factories. So harnessing the local textile industries network and using the excess materials from that to produce something new and new fibers and new fabrics that can be used again. Otherwise, this material would be waste. So how can we achieve the longevity of the products through design? And this is where, for example, service innovations are quite interesting approach. Finnish knitwear brand Arela is offering, for example, garment maintenance and garment repairing services as part of their operations, as well as second-hand services. And with maintenance and repairing and good care of products, they can be used much longer and even adapted if needed. Another interesting approach to designing for longevity is modular fashion. And this is an interesting project from a fashion graduate from Aalto University, Sofia Ilmonen. And the modular clothing means that the clothing can be adapted and transformed into something else, into either something added on, taken off, or to different kinds of sizes. So the products can be assembled differently and adapted to different types of users. Designing for recyclability, the final step, ensures that the materials and energy and value put into the whole production chain of the product is returned into the circle. And achieving this, the approach of monomateriality is one way to do that. Currently, it is a big problem in the fashion industry that the mixed materials garments cannot be recycled effectively into new raw materials because they combine, for example, cotton and polyester in fabric and metal in accessories. So we currently don't have an effective process to handle this. And the idea of monomaterial is that when we know that the product is made of one singular material, we know that this can be recycled and we know how to recycle that. And a Norwegian outdoors clothing company, Helly Hansen, has created a monomaterial outdoor jacket collection, which is then in the end 100% recyclable. So is the sustainable and circular fashion the new normal? Yes, it very much is. There is a lot of happening and a lot of things available already to consumers. And something that we need to understand is that these are a few approaches and there are no simple answers and there are many right answers, and trial and error, testing new things is, I think, the way to approach this. And even though there are no simple answers or simple paths that do this, it is very interesting and inspiring to walk this path and find the new questions and try to solve the challenges of fashion industry and circular fashion. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the program today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your inspiring presentation, Anna. Especially young generations are interested in the fashion area. And as you mentioned, design process is an important key element to make our society sustainable and circular. So next, I'm going to invite speakers from Une Design from Finland. Mark?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Thank you. We have Mark Kohonen and Jukka Okkonen. And Mark is entrepreneur in surgical instrument, laser marketing, marketing business since 2001. And the last 3 years, he has been involved in developing yoga mat, which is made of birchwood and recycled material. The title is Sustainable Use of Natural Resources in Product Design. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Tomoko. Hello to everyone. My name is Markku Korhonen. You may address me as Mark. And I and my partner Jukka Okkonen, we have a company called Non-Design. At the first, we would like to say that we are very grateful that we can attend to this show, to this seminar. Our company is specialized to produce ecological yoga and working station standing mats. Firstly, we would like to show you our product promotion video and then a short tale of how we come to this. In the video, there are two stories going on side by side. Log journey from the forest all the way to the end product, and a little bit of yoga, of course. From the internet, we realized that many yoga videos and pictures are mainly done in the sunlight or at the beautiful beach area. So we decided to flip ours upside down, meaning in really deep darkness and really cold area. And now if you kindly can turn on the video. Do you have the access there?
Hello, my name is
Luonto on aina ollut erittäin tärkeässä roolissa meille suomalaisille. Se on antanut meille ruokaa pöytään, puuta rakentaa ja lämmittää kotimme ja saunamme. Puu on upea ja uusiutuva luonnon materiaali. Se on yhtä aikaa pehmeä, kova ja joustava. Yhdistämällä vanhaa tekniikkaa ja uutta teknologiaa onnistumme luomaan erittäin kauniin ja todella uniikin sekä yhden maailman ekologisimmista joogamatoista. Se on koivuviilua ja huopaa. Voit nähdä ja tuntea luonnon joogatessasi ja se kulkee aina mukanasi. Vihdoinkin pitkän tuotekehitysjakson jälkeen voimme ylpeänä sanoa: Be the one is born. Be the one.
Okay, thank you. The day when we shoot this video, the outdoor temperature was -10, and in the sauna it was +85, nicely warm. So it felt great to come outside and do yoga. It didn't feel cold at all. And as you saw in the end of the video, yoga mats are on the ice in the circle, and that view gave us actually an idea to our Be the One logo. And I will continue now. I share my screen a little bit. I think this will be seen now, correct? Yes. Okay. Sustainable use of natural resources in product design. That is a very important headline. But what does it mean in our company? We've been thinking about that, and actually it means planning, designing, and creating products by respecting nature. But it also means something else. Here is a nice picture of the yoga. It means that be the one who takes care of yourself. Yoga is known to improve one's well-being, bringing harmony to mind and body. And we also know that, and we have noticed that standing long hours at the work without using standing mat can do harm and cause pain to the lower part of your body. Standing without shoes or barefoot on the natural material helps eliminate the stress on the feet, as well as improving the blood circulation. It also means be the one who takes care of the nature. Our yoga mat and standing mats are made from birch wood and recycled felt. Combining these two materials, we really dare say that probably our products are the most ecological in the world, of course, in this category. And if we think about our designer, who is our designer? Without doubt, Mother Nature, of course. We leave the design work to her due to the annual rings of the wood. So each mat produced is unique, totally unique. And for your information, it's not so easy to find a suitable birch tree because only 2% of A-grade trees are accepted for the manufacturing process. And that is very little. The very thin layer of the birch is only 0.15 millimeter thick. Let's say it's much thinner than a copy of the, a copy paper what you use in the office. This also means that each tree must be chosen in the forest and lodged by hand. No big forest machines or so can be used because they could damage or injure the log. All our wood raw materials have internationally approved BEFC and FSC certificates. Very important issue also. It also means that be the one who takes care of future. One manufactured yoga or standing mat means one tree to be planted. So it is 1-to-1. This is done in cooperation with the Ino SchoolNet Association. While one log gives us material for over 100 yoga mats, therefore we believe we will give back to the nature more than we take. For example, one log equals 100 yoga mats. This means 100 plantings. Throughout the years, in our Finnish culture, we have often hesitated to be proud of what we have achieved. But now, I must tell you, we can proudly be happy of our product. And we hope that our cooperation with Ino SchoolNet can be as an example for many, many other companies. This is one way we all can make a positive part of changes for the future. Thank you for your attention. Arigato.
Mark, thank you so much for your great presentation. Arigato, kitos. And yeah, and taking care of not only nature but also ourselves. And future is very important thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kitos. So let's move on to students' presentations. We have the first presenter is Minami Morozumi from Tokai University Suwa High School student. Suwa High School. Hi, Minami.
Hi.
So the title is Lifestyle Utilizing Local Resources. So if you can start when you're ready.
Okay. Can you see that? Hello everyone. My name is Minami Morozumi from Tokai Suwa Senior High School. Thank you for inviting me to the Carbon Conference 2023. Today, I will be presenting on 3 topics that utilize local resource in Chino City. First is bioethanol from exotic plants. Second, research on cultured meat using amazake. And finally, I'm going to tell you about our science club activities. Recently, non-native plants and animals are becoming one of the big problems of our ecosystem in Japan. Chino City is no exception. This photo shows Kamikawa River near my school. you can see lots of non-native plants. They are destroying native plants and our ecosystem. Therefore, I suppose that I could make bioethanol from this non-native plant. Plant cell walls contain cellulose. This is broken down into glucose by the enzyme cellulose. Next, it is fermented with dry yeast to produce alcohol. But the problem was that this cellulose is very expensive. Then I came up with the idea that I could make use of the deer that are being exterminated in our region. Deer are also one of the big problems because the number is increasing. Deer eat and digest plants, so they have microorganisms that break down cellulose in their digestive tracts. I focus on this microorganism. First, deer's first, second, third, and fourth stomachs and small and large intestines are mashed. Next, dry yeast was added and allowed to ferment. I could make bioethanol. The fourth stomach and small intestines especially were more effective than cellulose. In this way, bioethanol could be produced from local waste. The second topic is research on cultured meat using amazake. Amazake is one of the Japanese traditional drinks, which is made by fermenting rice with coach mold. It is known to contain many nutrients. Also, it is said that some doctors recommend it to pregnant women because of its high nutrition. The meat we eat is a mass of muscle cells. Then I thought that if I gave amazake to muscle cells, the number of muscle cells would increase, which would be useful for research on cultured meat. I conducted this experiment with the cooperation of Professor Tomohide Takaya at Shinshu University. The pictures above are micrographs taken on day 6 and 8. In the medium with amazake, you can see many long myotubes and they are curved. The photos below shows the cell nuclei illuminated. The blue is a myocyte nucleus and the green is a myocyte that has coalesced into a myotube. I found that amazake promotes myoblast division and differentiation into myotubes. Amazake contains a lot of folic acid. Some studies have reported that a deficiency in folic acid in a fetus can lead to stunted growth. I suppose that this result may also be due to the effect of folic acid in amazake. Finally, I would like to introduce some activities in our community. We, the Science Club, have been conducting demonstrations of green curtains and making eco-information reports and distributing them to the citizens of China. We also hold events for children about energy and environmental conservation and work with the local community to protect near endangered butterflies. I think that the most important way to achieve the goal of zero carbon is to change children's lifestyles. This is because in 2050, these children will become adults and support our society. To make our voice heard to politicians, we made recommendations to the Chino City Council. It's important that the lifestyles of all citizens change to achieve the goal of their carbon. Our activities are still small, but we should cherish these small steps. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Minami. Your experiments using local ingredients are very interesting. Also, it's impressive that you are involved in education and you go out and talk with the City Hall and the City Council. So, next presenter is Maho Todoroki from Yashiro High School.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Are you ready to start your presentation? Okay, so the title is This CO2 Home Garden. So go ahead.
Hello everyone, I am Maho Todoroki. I'm in the second grade of Yashiro High School. In my research, I aim to reduce carbon dioxide emissions by using bacteria to reduce chemical manure. Like some Japanese families, I often made kitchen garden with my family and used phosphorus chemical manure. However, through extracurricular learning, I learned one big problem about this manure. Now, chemical phosphorus manure is necessary in agriculture. At the same time, a large amount of carbon dioxide is emitted when drilling and processing resources. Also, Japan relies on imports for almost all phosphorus resources. Through this process, 9 kilograms of carbon dioxide is emitted per 10 kilograms of manure. Thus, phosphorus chemical manure. すいません。Next, please. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. Now, chemical phosphorus manure is necessary in agriculture. At the same time, a large amount of carbon dioxide is emitted when drilling and processing resources. Also, Japan relies on imports for almost all phosphorus resources. Through this process, 9 kilograms of carbon dioxide is emitted per 10 kilograms of manure. Thus, phosphorus chemical manure emits a lot of carbon dioxide, so I decided to look for sustainable manure to replace phosphorus chemical one. And I finally found certain fungus in a paper about manure. Next, please. There are some fungus live with some plants and give them phosphorus in the soil instead of the nutrition that plants made. Avascular mycorrhizal fungus, in short, AEM fungus, is one of them. The main merit of using this fungus are providing water and nutrition to host plant, and many kinds of plants can be its host plant. After you grow the plant, AEM fungus increases and improves growth of its next host plant. Next, please. Its major host plants in home garden is sunflower and soybean. As I said before, AEM fungus has many merits, but it also has one demerit. Its manure is so expensive that you can buy it a lot. Next, please. But I thought this problem can be covered by one characteristic of AEM fungus. In other words, after growing host plant, it increases and helps next host plant to grow. By using this cycle, you can reduce manure consumption and save money. Next, please. Then I made experiments whether my theory was correct. First, I grew 2 kinds of host plants and radish. Radish is not host plant. They are grown with AEM fungus and without it. After growing enough, I compared them on these points. Second, I grew ice plant in this full soil. The normal one is for the control experiment. These four also grow both with alien fungus and without it. After growing enough, I compared them by diameter. By these two experiments, I reproduced the cycle which I talked earlier. Next, please. This is the result of the first experiment. The top of the ranking of alien fungus effect is sunflower, the next is soybean, and the bottom is radish. Next, please. This is the result of the second experiment. Considering the first result, the ranking of growth degree of ice plant should be like that. But the fact was different. The ice plant which grew on soybean soil is grew less than I had thought. Maybe it is because all soils except normal one lose nutrition that can't be covered by alien fungus. Next, please. Based on these results and consideration, I read three conclusions. First, after you grow host plant, alien fungus increases and improves the growth of its next host plant. It is called from references. However, third, bad rotation steals nutrition in the soil, so you can't rotate plants only by alien fungus manure. It needs other manure. In conclusion, it can help reducing carbon dioxide with home garden, but cannot save money. Next, please. From here, I also made a short hypothesis based on the characteristics of Nagano. In this hypothesis, my hypothesis is using the roots of next, please. My hypothesis is using the roots of cedar and surroundings. Why did I make this idea? I will explain the process to make idea from papers. Next, please. For the first, cedar is one of the host plants of AEM. In the practice forest of Kagoshima University, the AEM fungus symbiosis rate of cedar in June is 75%. Also, the ratio of its forest area in Nagano is second. The number of its old forest is increases due to the trend of longer term of cultivation. In the elderly forest, the excess nitrogen, which is as important nutrition as phosphorus, stresses the environment. Based on this information, you can see that the cedar forest contains alien bacteria and nutrition that adversely affect the environment. It will be difficult to put the hard roots of cedar into the soil, but I think this method can encourage to CO2 home gardening to reduce CO2 home gardening in Nagano. These are references of my research. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. That is it for me. Thank you all for listening.
Maho, thank you so much for your presentation and good job. And that's amazing that you did such experiments all by yourself outside of the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next presenter is Tan Bishop from University of Eastern Finland. Hi.
Thank you. Okay, here, let me just share my screen here.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay, so just for a little bit of context, so I'm currently a master's student at the University of Eastern Finland in the Environmental Policy and Law program. Today's presentation will be about some activism that I did during my bachelor studies, where I was an environmental studies major with a concentration in animal welfare. This will mainly be about some like campus-based activism that I did surrounding sustainable food programs, and I'll tie it into my current master's thesis a little later. And so, okay, so this initiative that I'll be focusing on today is basically a Meatless Monday, which is an initiative to either have a meatless cafeteria menu on campus every Monday or to highlight plant-based options. And a Meatless Monday is something that a lot of schools, hospitals, etc., participate in. Actually, I was involved in a grant proposal for like health facilities too. So it's but this campaign here though was based on Lewis and Clark College, Portland, Oregon, where I got my bachelor's. And initially, what it involved was placing a sign next to the vegan food section in the cafeteria, and the sign discussed animal welfare and environmental benefits of plant-based eating. For example, it talked about things like carbon emissions, because the estimates vary quite a bit, but animal agriculture does take a pretty big percentage of global greenhouse gas emissions. Estimates range from 14.5 to 87%, and 18 and 51% are popular estimates, but lately I'd say the estimates have been going up. And then it also talked about things like land use, water use, biodiversity, and also the tens of billions of animals on factory farms themselves. And, okay, now there are a number of groups involved in this. I won't talk about them too much just to save time, but the Factory Farming Awareness Coalition and the Humane League are both nonprofits that are dedicated to farm animal welfare campaigns and intersectional plant-based activism. And then Animal Collective, Students Engaged in Eco-Defense, and Lewis and Clark Animal Defense Fund are all like animal protection and environmental groups that do both campus-based activism and community activism that are based at the college. Now, a few challenges that we would sometimes face in doing our activism. So one of them is just sort of making sure to be inclusive of people who have allergies or other dietary needs, because one thing that we would sometimes face would be people who had complex allergies, or they have allergies to more than one thing, for example, both to soy and nuts. And so just looking at ways that we can have a wider variety of options like lentils and coconut-based products, for example. Another one is sometimes a lack of community education on, for example, plant-based protein, because especially at the college, we had a lot of students who were athletes who had concerns about getting enough protein. And so sometimes what we would run into something like that, and where either they would overestimate how much protein we need, or they would, or just maybe that there wouldn't be as much awareness of the options. So sometimes education outreach could be useful. And then sometimes there were logistics in the cafeteria itself, like there are food stations that already have labels that said, for example, chicken or tofu, and then so it could be difficult to label to see what the Green Monday special, so to speak, that was only the tofu. So that could be a bit difficult. So that's why we initially only had the sign next to one station. And also just finding someone who could take up and down the sign could be a bit of a challenge, because sometimes they wanted a student to do it, sometimes a cafeteria employee. So, but now moving forward though, so this is, these are a few things that I've looked at in my master's thesis. And so one of them is just sort of where to focus our activism a little more specifically, because on the one hand, when we are making the biggest difference in terms of animal welfare, it's often more helpful to focus on reducing fish and chicken consumption, because it's been found that if one person does that, they can spare 1,500 and 1,220 days of suffering, as they quantified it. This is a study done by the Humane League, and it's and those are the highest numbers of days of suffering out of any product that we could reduce. And then on the other hand, if we reduce beef and other red meat, that can be most helpful when it comes to reducing carbon emissions and a lot of other environmental impacts. But I mean, both. All types help for both animal welfare and environmental causes, as long as we don't just replace one animal product with another. And then another thing is that sometimes pictures next to food products can give false impressions of animal welfare or environmental impacts. For example, if you see, say, a cow in a field, it might look like, okay, they're on a pasture, grazing, sustainable, but then But that's sadly not the reality most of the time. And so having signs next to the plant-based products that was sort of a way of potentially counteracting that. And then the language landscape has also changed a bit because, for example, the word vegan used to be considered very radical and something that we would stay away from a bit. But then more recently, it's been shown to be more effective in inspiring people. And then it can also go the other way because consumers, when consuming more of these plant-based alternatives, can then sometimes give higher regard to animal welfare and environmental benefits, and it intersects with so many other issues, whether it's pandemics or workers' rights and more. So anyway, I look forward to your questions and comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Talon. Great presentation and your perspective. I mean, the dining and also animal welfare is very important. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next presenter is So Kishino from Shinshu University. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Are you ready to start?
Okay.
Okay. So
wait a minute. Oh, can I see my screen? Okay. I'll start. Hello, my name is So Kishino, a student at Shinshu University. Thank you very much for coming to my presentation today. The purpose of my presentation today is to talk about my effort to create green community. The green community I am aiming for is a society where nature and people coexist and green resources circulate in rural area. Today, I'd like to talk about why I'm trying to achieve this kind of community and what I'm doing to realize my ideal society. First, I talk about why. And I talk about the two reasons. The first reason is a feeling for my hometown. This picture shows the elementary school I attended. I used to play every day on the bus ground. However, this wonderful school was closed down 9 years ago due to population decline. My hometown, Marubashira Village, Yasuti, Mie Prefecture, is famous for Iga pottery, but it is in decline. Today, there are probably more deer and wild boars than villagers. As my hometown has nothing except for mountains, I did not like my hometown and decided to come to Nagano. The second reason is chance in Nagano. At the university, I was exposed to the rich natural environment of Nagano Prefecture and rediscovered the value of the nature. I learned that our lack of use of the resources of the mountains and forests has not only led to the depopulation of the rural area, but also the destruction of the ecosystem. I have come to believe that there is more potential in rural area. In Japan, there are unmanaged forests and abundant farmland. By utilizing these resources, we can create new local industries and local production for local consumption. But how can we increase the use of the local resources? To consider this question, I participated in Green Innovator Academy, a program for students and adults to learn about decarbonized society. I talk with people who are working to realize decarbonized society in various industries and participate in fieldwork in Fukushima. What I learned there was that in terms of achieving stable energy supply, using local resources on a small scale is expensive and difficult. But it was tackling because it's difficult. Now I am currently involved in 2 activities to promote local resource use. The first is internship at Zero Waste Japan, which I started August last year. I am involved in the zero waste policies in Obose town, Nagano Prefecture, which aims to create resource recycling town. We provided environmental education to children in the town and held compost production workshop. We also make charcoal to make effective use of the organic waste. Usa is famous for its fruit trees and chestnuts. And there are many orchards which produce many pruned plants. By turning them into charcoal, we are trying to promote their use as a fuel and soil conditioners. The second activity is Shinshu Daiichi Project, an initiative to compost food waste discharged from university cafeterias. The compost we make is made of wood and soil, and bacteria decompose food waste. This compost is made from mocha wood, and a wood from Nagano that is processed to prevent it from rotting. The goal is to create a circle in which the finished compost is used in the field. These are what I have done and I am doing right now. This is my ideal society. I am working on the use of the biomass in Obuse, and at Shinshu University project, I am working on composting. Each one is a very small step to get me closer to my goal. My goal is to create community where people can be proud of where they grow up by connecting people with nature and promoting the use of the resources close at hand. I don't want to see the people like me saying there are only mountains in the village where I was born. In closing, I'd like to share a phrase I keep in my mind. We can see the future, but we can create it. What kind of zero carbon world do you want to realize? I believe each step or small action we take will lead to the green society we are aiming for. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much for your presentation. So I was moved by your various kind of actions and message. Thank you.
Thank you.
And sorry for going over the time, but we like to continue our sessions. So the last presenter is Muhammadu Hogali, University of Eastern Finland Business School. Could you turn on your video, please? Muhammadu, are you here?
Yeah, hello. Yes. Yeah. Great. Let me open my camera. Okay.
Now we spotlight you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for waiting. So
no,
now,
it's okay.
Now you can start your presentation.
Okay, great. So I'm sharing my screen. Okay, great. First of all, it's a pleasure to present in the Zero Carbon Conference. I would like to provide a high-level overview about my research, which is focusing on mindful consumption through transformative virtual experiences. I'm a doctoral student at the University of Eastern Finland. I'm part of UF Business School, focusing on sustainable consumption in tourism. And when you look at tourism, it's actually a sector that employs...
Sorry to interrupt your presentation. We can see your slide, next slide too. So could you, I think it's the presentation board. We can see your main slide and also next slide too.
Okay, let me, hide presenter mode. So this way is good. I'm not sure how to go for the screen. Because I have to screen, sorry. Okay, just a second.
Yep.
All right, let's try again. Okay, I hope it is better now without the...
We still can see your next slide.
You can go to the display settings at the top.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with this. I don't know what's the issue. You mean like, because I'm still on the first slide, but duplicate slideshow?
Yes. No.
Okay.
Go to the swap presenter view and slideshow. Yes, now we can see just the slideshow.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, great. Thank you so much for highlighting that. Yeah. So as I mentioned, I'm part of the tourism sector and specifically part of the research community here in Finland as a student at the University of Eastern Finland. And when we look at tourism, it's actually a sector that employs 10% of the population, and it's also contributing to the 10% of the global GDP, in addition to many other key figures that you can see in the first slide. But unfortunately, it's also a sector that is responsible for a lot when it comes to the carbon footprint and also ecological as well as waste. And as we know, the global carbon emission is expected to increase by almost 50% in the future. So tourism actually, because of its linkage to transportation, as we can see in the figure down, as well as lodging and other services, it's responsible for almost 8% of the global carbon emission. And when we look at any tourist, their footprint when they travel is considerably higher than their own footprint at home, but also considerably higher than a resident footprint. And it was estimated that tourists generate double the amount of waste compared to local residents. There are, of course, many solutions that are implemented, such as low or passive energy systems, biomass and renewable energy innovations, circular economy, in addition to increasing the public over private transportation ratio and using durable and green technologies across the tourism and hospitality sector. But one thing that have not been looked at is actually the consumer mindset. We can have all of this legislation and technologies, but the consumer will make the decision eventually of which type of activities they want to, or like which type of product they would like to pursue during their travel initiatives. And this is something that has not been looked at, and it's very important for sustainable development, which require further exploration, which was the inspiration for my research. And actually, my research is focusing on the concept of mindful consumption. So when we look at consumption itself, and specifically this mindful consumption, it's under the umbrella of sustainable consumption. And it implies that consumer would make choices while considering environmental, social, economic, and ethical requirements. And it stems from the fact that consumption has two facets. The first one is what we see, basically the consumer behavior in terms of engagement of the consumption, and the second one, which is intangible, the mindset of the consumer when it comes to their altitude, values, or also expectation. And it has been shown that actually the mindset guides and drives the behavior. In other words, if you want to change consumption behavior, we have to change the mindset. And that's why my research is really going deep into the roots of the consumer mindset. And if you can see in the figure here, this has three components, the care for self, the care for the community, and also the care for nature, which yields a concept called mindful mindset. We've looked at a theory that is linked to this concept, which is the mindset theory. It started actually in education, and it highlights that people have two orientations. They can either have a fixed mindset, or what we call entity theory, where they believe that their intelligence, abilities, and flexibility to change is not possible. And we have other people who have a growth mindset, where basically they are believing that their intelligence, their abilities are actually unsealed. Of course, it's not a 0 to 1, like 0 or 1 value. It's basically a continuum depending on the activity. and this entity incremental dimension or like continuum implies that people will fall across the line between a fixed and a growth mindset. And it has been shown that actually this can change by designing experiences. So this is constantly evolving with experience. So the objective actually of my research is basically to evaluate the concept of mindful consumption as actually a sustainable tourism solution, not only in the tourism sector, but also across all other sectors. And also would like to imply transformative experiences in virtual reality. And the reason we are looking into virtual reality is because it has the highest potential to enhance and foster transformative experiences. And we can see in this figure, basically, the change from a fixed to a growth mindset is actually had these three components: the affective engagement, the behavioral engagement, and also the cognitive engagement. And by designing these experiences in the near future, we are hoping that we can actually contribute to that. So in summary, what we are looking at is basically to see if indeed, when we design these transformative virtual experiences, we can actually drive more people to have or to adopt a growth mindset, which can hopefully in turn lead to mindful and sustainable consumption. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much for listening, and I would be happy to reply to your comments and questions.
Thank you so much, Muhammado. Thank you for your presentation, and that's very important topic considering the impact of tourism and mindful consumption as a sustainable tourism solution. So I'm looking forward to what you will find out through your research. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So now I'm going to invite commentator Maria Koroston, project coordinator at University of Eastern Finland, to wrap up today's session. Hi, Maria.
Thank you.
And also, I would like to invite all presenters here. So could you turn on your video and please join us. Yes.
So thank you.
Now we can see your faces.
Okay.
Together.
May I start with my wrap up? Okay. Yep. You asked me to be quick because we are already over time, so I don't mention all the presenters by name, but I like to really thank you all because you all had a very interesting presentations today, and they have a very nice aspects to the day's theme, mitigation of climate change or emissions of carbon. And we started in the beginning already, we heard that, it's really time to make actions now because we already see the impact of the climate change in our nature and our environment. And this is a task for all generations. And because we like to live close to nature or have a contact with the nature all the time, it's very important we understand how the climate change have an effect on the nature different processes. And we heard very nice examples how we can behave in our environment or behave as a consumer. So we can have actions in our own environment, how we utilize energy and with what kind of energy we're utilizing. And maybe we can have a better insulation so that we don't lost any energy in that way. Increasing awareness of how to mitigate the climate change is also very important. And there were some nice examples from Japan, how in different valleys or villages there are a lot of nice actions how to decrease emissions of carbon, for example. And like in energy issues, there were different forums where they have already actions to be more efficient or even self-sufficient with the energy issues or the food production, or how to prepare the food, or which kind of raw material to use for food. So these are choices in our everyday life. So I think that's even the challenges are global, but really we can all by ourselves do something to find solutions. And there also was nice aspects about the fashion or designing products. So it's important when we are choosing our what we are going to wear, what we are going to use. It's really important to think about that, how the product has been made, from which kind of raw material, how the designers have taken care that it's sustainable, and it could be very different aspects. So they all are very important. And even our lifestyle can be using more local resources and being sustainable in that way. And I noticed there were high school students. I hope they will educate themselves to be a researcher, because there were really nice initiatives using nice researching way to study things. So there was about the energy production and producing food, and especially I like that aspect to growing food with the AM fungus. So I think the world of fungus is very not already well known, so that it's really important to have the research and that research on that area. And there are also really concrete actions like the Meatless Monday, and ideas how to change behavior of the consumers. And it's really nice to see that the motivation for the different kind of actions came from the own environmental, so how the composting bio-waste, or how to think about how we behave as the tourists, for example. So that and I like that idea there was in front presentation, that we can really create the future. We don't have to wait what will happen. We are able to create the future. So that was my brief wrap up from this today's presentations, and I really thank all the presenters. Very interesting presentation again. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiitos, Maria, to wrap up this today's session. And as we put on Zoom chat, the presentations with English subtitle will be available in YouTube playlist, and also Japanese version will be uploaded to Japanese website. And also we would like to keep our conversation and make our connection stronger even after the conference. So visit the dates for next meetup on March 22nd and April 21st, one day before Earth Day. So it will be wonderful if we can plan next actions together for Earth Day. And we would like to hear what kind of activities and we can do together beyond the countries, and you can put your ideas on another Padlet until the next meetup. I think you can see the Padlet link in Zoom chat. Yes, so okay, now we are going to finish today's session. We will have day 2 at the same time. It's about adaptation, sustainable local businesses. We keep this Zoom open after the live streaming stop, so you can stay if you want to talk with presenters. And I think Kaya is raising your hands.
Yes, let's not forget about the picture. So if all the presenters could switch on their cameras so we can take a screenshot.
Yes. What do we say?
Muikku in Finnish. Muikku.
So say muik.
Muikku.
Did you take pictures?
I did. I hope that they are okay. They should be fine.
Thank you. So thank you so much for coming today, and sorry that it's over the time. So see you tomorrow. Thank you. Kiitos. Arigatou.